Today we're going to present an analysis on the O2 advertising campaign, Wear the Rose. Our group is formed by me, Mathilde Piteira, Elizabeth Mallet, Charlotte Jobson and Hannah Williamson. When analysing the chosen campaign, we will look at what is particularly striking about this campaign, why does it work in our opinion, and we will also focus on three specific areas of the campaign: choice of media, target audience and execution of the campaign. The Wear the Rose campaign is O2's most significant advertising campaign as a proud partner of England Rugby in its 20-year sponsorship based around a symbol that represents the very heart of England, the Red Rose. When considering which campaign to work on and analyse, we made our choice based on Bill's 1997 Three Elements of a Brand Theory. We chose this campaign because O2 has proven to have strong skills, personality and relationship as a brand. This specific campaign was also chosen due to its very vast media coverage and the fact that it targets the whole population. The campaign began with an emotive ad showcasing the difference that the power of support can make, blending together four typically English storylines across a range of sporting and challenging life scenarios. The ad was broadcast across video-on-demand services from the 11th of February, month that started the beginning of the campaign. The advert finishes stating that the power of support, referring to the whole population, makes us bigger, makes us stronger, makes us feel like giants. This advert led to the next advert created by the O2 to support the Wear the Rose campaign. The brand created its first ever animated campaign with the England Rugby team turning to giants through the power of support. According to the marketing and consumer director at O2 UK, the company decided to create an animation to make the campaign more inclusive. Nina Bibi, O2's marketing and consumer director, states, "We want to inspire the nation to help make the England rugby team feel like giants. And what better way to do that than through an emotive and patriotic animation that can appeal to everyone, from children to parents and grandparents." Here is a short clip of the advertisement.
Make them giants. Wear the rose.
TV advert shows all of the England rugby team as giants in a cartoon form. The advert includes thousands of fans, all wearing the England rugby shirt with the O2 logo sponsored on it. All demographics are shown in the advert, which makes the audience feel that they can get involved and that it's not just aimed at men or a certain age group. British pride is a main theme in the advert, with the settings being in different towns in England, especially showing London landmarks, and this makes the advert relatable to the audience. The advert has over 2.5 million views on YouTube and has over 300 comments since it was published on the 9th of September. This can be shared on social media, which means that more people were able to see it and comment on the advert. Also, it is shown in the newspapers. Following on from the TV advert, in the Sun newspaper, a double-page spread has shown all of the England giants. Again, they're wearing the England kits, which shown sponsored by the O2. By using the same imagery as the newspaper article, the viewers can see a flow and therefore instantly know that the advertisement is done by O2. On both the Sun and the London Evening Standard, which is a newspaper handed out to London workers, the Wear the Rose O2 logo, which Mathilde will talk about next, is shown.
As Hannah previously mentioned, the O2 rebranded its stores ahead to support the Rugby World Cup campaign. The mass store rebrand was the first time the O2 logo had been altered in such a way since the brand was founded in 2002. As a marketing move, this step of the campaign strategy was a very important aspect to consider and analyse, since the logo of such an important brand wouldn't pass unnoticed, and to be changed, it really needed to succeed. Ian Cofferkey, the head of marketing communication at the O2, said, Changing the O2 brand above the door of our 377 stores in England to embrace the rose is a visual way of showing our support for Stuart Lancaster and his team right across the country. It feels like a natural celebration of our 20-year partnership with RFU. In terms of traditional media, the campaign was supported by outdoor and print activities throughout the year, such as the Wear the Rose tour. The tour was aimed to help bring fans closer to the O2 action during August and September. The Wear the Rose experience was toured cities and rugby clubs across the country with the world's first ever virtual reality sports experience using the revolutionary Oculus Rift technology. The tour travelled to selected locations to get people playing touch rugby and giving away official England rugby shirts, and just to give the audience the ultimate experience of the England rugby. This experience allowed people to feel what it's like to wear the rose by training with the England's elite squad without ever having to set foot on a blade of grass, and to meet rugby legends such as Jonny Wilkinson. Most importantly, the message was spread: show it, wear it, and share it.
In 2014, Oxford Circus Tube Station was named one of the most used tube stations in all of London. For the campaign, O2 have created an advertising for this tube station. In Oxford Circus especially, there is a large walkway where the tunnel is covered with the images of the cartoon giants. This means that tube users can walk past their favourite players, take pictures with them and feel part of the campaign. On the floor of the tunnel is a large image of the O2 Arena, where the tube users can walk over it and feel like they're walking across the O2 and feel like giants as well. As well as the still images of the players on the walls, the screens on the escalators have moving advertising of all the players in their kits with the O2 logo clearly showing. On all of the moving adverts, it also shows the consumers where they can go online to make their own cartoon character, and that means that they will feel like they're a giant and they can be part of the experience. In regards to online advertising, as previously said, O2 Wear the Rose website has a cartoon builder which lets the consumer create their own cartoon character in the O2 England rugby shirt. As well as this, the website has also uploaded videos of the players as well as competitions such as who has shown the most support for the team. It also shows how many people have shown their support and how they have done this. By showing who's been supporting, this makes users want to get involved and do as much as they can to be on the website. On social media, O2's official Facebook page has over 1.1 million people liking it. They have uploaded images and videos of the England team as well as the advert. This means users can share or comment on the Facebook page. Over 21,000 people have used the Wear the Rose hashtag on Instagram, where images and videos of the rugby matches have been uploaded, as well as users wearing the O2 England rugby shirt and showing their acts of support. With O2 Priority, it is tailored just for O2 customers. O2 Priority have an app that keep O2 users updated with the Rugby World Cup, as well as specialised competitions where only users of the O2 can win tickets to the games, memorabilia and signed prizes. Also, all O2 customers can get a free Wear the Rose badge. This means that the O2 customers can take pictures wearing the badge and upload it to the social media sites like Facebook and Instagram, where family and friends can see and share it. At the O2 was a concert on the 9th of September 2015, where fans of the England team gathered to celebrate the team before the World Cup. It was hosted by well-known presenter Vernon Kay, and the whole team was there to talk about the World Cup and gain support. As well as the rugby team, well-known global artists such as Take That, Calabro and Ella Eyre also performed. All three of these musicians tailored to a different type of audience, therefore making more people want to go to the event and it not being just tailored to one type of demographic. The event was held at the O2 and this could be shared online, on websites and on social media, therefore making it easier for others to see the event and want to get involved with it. When looking at the media richness theory, we found that the Wear the Rose campaign has a very high effectiveness. Daft and Lengel say that there are four main parts to analysing an effective campaign: the capacity for immediate feedback, large numbers of cues and channels used, a language variety, and the degree that the intent was focused on the recipient. We believe that O2 have done this very well, as they used many media channels to link their campaign. The advert created was also in newspapers and on billboards, therefore making a flow and more understandable to the audience. Although the theory says that the posters and documents which are unaddressed to the recipient are ineffective, O2 have done this in a very clever way by putting the adverts in tube tunnels, therefore making the recipient feel that they are part of the campaign and can stand near their favourite giants. They also use social media, which means that fans can give feedback very easily and any negative feedback can be dealt with very quickly. Their website keeps current stats of how many out of their 5 million person target have helped with their acts of support and what is needed to be done to reach this target.
Execution of the campaign. The O2 marketing boss, Nina Bibby, said that the campaign aims to be very active and interactive with consumers. The brand put up a support team to respond to comments and activity as frequent as it happened. She did hint that the campaign could face issues if England were to go out of the tournament. After this actually became a fact that the O2 decided to carry on with the campaign despite the knockout. This was a major turning point in the campaign. Joel Seymour Hyde, VP of Strategy, EMEA for sports agency Octagon, believed that the O2 would take a major hit following this, also saying, "When I've dealt with the nation team sponsors in the past, we've had a contingency plan in which place around the pulling media, but I doubt O2 even thought as far ahead as it looks like England would go through." Bibby described the media campaign as a movement aimed at widening participation and encouraging people to get involved. Her aim was to get 5 million people to show their support, with the big number being counted live at the totalizer on the O2 website. Andrew Kasher, head of experientials at Howard's SC Cake, notes that the campaign was ubiquitous and based around a simple objective. It was really well executed across a range of touchpoints from the product to store to advertising, social media and experiential, all based on a simple call to action to get the nation behind the team. Culminating and send-off event at the O2, he says. The hashtag was everywhere. This was a smart way of extending the Rugby Football Union RFU partnership into the Rugby World Cup and making an impact without having to acquire official status. Kasher adds that the brand light projection of the O2 was similarly effective, describing it as a nice execution. Charlie Dundas, Director of Business Development at GMR Marketing, believed that the campaign was well thought out and delivered effectively. Clearly the potential for an early exit of England must have been a factor into the campaign planning, hence the heavyweight approach early on. They also gave themselves the flexibility to subtly change some of the messaging in the ads to suit the actual situation. Typically smart work from the O2, he says. The light projection in particular was a standout for Andrew Douglas, Chief Executive at Innovisions. We're familiar with using iconic buildings to project the aspirational imagery. These are potent backdrops. This particular activation stood out amid the London skyline as a badge for the tournament and the nations. The campaign has been about more than just brand awareness, but driving positive brand association and consideration. O2 is huge fans of the sport of rugby, and the England Rugby Partnership has been a fantastic way to bring life for the O2 customers. Of O2's 100,582 mentions over the whole period, only 4% were around the Rugby World Cup, although this is a part of because O2 is much more widely discussed than some of the other brands, in particular due to the O2 Arena. Nevertheless, the brand has seen a big drop of interest, rugby-related discussions of the O2 brand on the 3rd of October. The date of the Australian game hit 263 mentions, but for the October 10th game against Uruguay, it was only 32, a fall of 88%. The research shows that the tournament sponsors of the Rugby World Cup remain relatively unaffected by individual team performance, but the O2 association with the England team specifically left them somewhat exposed. In fact, the volume of hashtag usage for Wear the Rose in the Uruguay game was only 12% of that in the Australian game, demonstrating the significant impact of England's failing has had on this campaign. This has been good news for the likes of Heineken and MasterCard, who has capitalised the diminishing impact of the Wear the Rose campaign. Nina Bibby says, "For me, one of the best things about our involvement in the rugby has been seeing everyone in the O2 come together to create something truly memorable. I really believe that the importance of building marketing campaigns from the inside out. That means engaging your staff and make sure they're fully bought into what you're trying to do. After all, if it doesn't excite and inspire your own people, how can you expect to excite anyone else? As the aim of the campaign was to get the whole nation behind the England rugby team, from these results we can see how well the campaign has been executed. There's been over 200,000 Wear the Rose posters displayed. There's been over 2.5 million other social media supporters and over 20,000 characters created. From the results, we can also see how the campaign was executed, as the O2 managed to get support from 5,439,534 people in the nation.
I will be looking at the target audience of the O2 Wear the Rose campaign. In order to understand O2's target audience, we must first understand what the target audience of rugby as a whole is. Firstly, South Africa has the largest proportion of rugby supporters at 70%, followed by New Zealand at 63%. Amongst the European nations, Wales has the largest fan base at 44%, narrowly ahead of France at 42%. The depth of dedicated support is far greater amongst the Welsh, who is 25% of the adult population, proclaiming to be avid rugby lovers, and make it only one of 2 countries where the most avid fans outnumber the more casual followers. France has the largest number of fans in absolute terms at 21.7 million. Rugby attracts most of its followers from within the high income earning bracket. Although the Wear the Rose campaign intended to target the whole nation, it is obvious that the main audience would be rugby fans. The audience is male, aged between 25 and 39. Their social grade falls under ABC1, which is the same social grade as O2's target audience, and they are more likely to live in London. They have a disposable income of £1,000 or more, and their interests include rugby, cooking, the news. They are customers of the Premiership Rugby, Waitrose, Jack & Jones, Lloyds Bank and Kia. They are online for 41 to 45 hours per week, and they watch TV for 36 to 40 hours per week. Nina Bibby, Marketing and Consumer Director at O2 UK, said, "We wanted to ensure that we really reach as many people as possible, not just core rugby fans." And Charlie Valance, founder and chairman of VCCP, explained that we were briefed to produce, in many ways, a recruitment campaign to recruit the whole nation to support the England rugby team. Therefore, although it is very uncommon to have a campaign which is such a large target audience, this is exactly what O2 have done. The campaign has the England rugby team at the forefront and the O2 brand slightly behind it. In order to create an effective campaign, O2 have had to move away from a familiar target audience and target a completely different one. However, there are a few similarities between rugby fans and O2's audience, such as the age range and the disposable income. Yet one of the main differences is that O2 targets women rather than men. We looked at O2 as a brand using Cat Ferrer's brand identity prism. This model helps to define a brand. It also helps us to understand why O2 were able to change their logo without worrying that they wouldn't be recognised. This is because their brand identity is so strong. The brand identity prism consists of the physique, the personality, the culture, the self-image, reflection and relationship. The physique of the brand is more than a network company. They also consist of the O2 Arena, O2 Priority. They also have a strong logo which is easily recognisable. The personality of the brand is forward-thinking and bold, as quoted by Liz Ward, O2's brand manager. The culture of the brand encompasses the English spirit. They also help people to live better lives, transform society and take care of the planet. As the personality encompasses the English spirit, this is seen through the patriotism for the Rugby England team campaign. The self-image of the brand is very quality-orientated, fun and bold and associated with music and shows. The relationship between the O2 and its customers is more of a fan base, music and shows. The relationship between the O2 and its customers is more of a fan base. Sarah Dillington, O2's internal communications manager, wants people to be fans rather than customers, as fans will trust, forgive and speak about you with their friends. Upon reflection of the brand, it can be seen that O2 is a trustworthy brand that is constantly evolving and forward-thinking and always trying new things and offering fun and interesting perks. All of these qualities create a strong brand that is able to change their logo and focus more on the nation getting behind the England team rather than attempting to gain customers through their advertising. We have found that O2 used many media platforms during the Wear the Rose campaign. By advertising with the use of online media, such as having new updates on their website and social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where consumers can interact with the brand, see their advertising, and share their posts with their friends and family. They also use traditional media, for example, newspaper articles about the campaign, showing their logo specifically for the campaign, the rose as part of the original O2 logo, and using imagery of the rugby giants, which is shown in their online advertising and TV ads. They reached a large audience from all different demographics, which helped them reach the goal of 5 million acts of support.